is that we're talking about how, Jeremy was talking about the consistency of liberals. And the kind of liberal that I grew up in was one that adamantly believed in freedom of speech. And Angus is good on freedom of speech. And we have a lot of cases on which we agree. But if the administration, which overwhelmingly leans left, if modern liberals were as good on free speech as the old 60s and 70s liberals were, as me and Angus are on these issues, these administrative overreach things, as I said in my statement, would be impossible. Sometimes it's active, sometimes it's just complicit, but it's allowing the stifling of intellectual diversity.
But you don't ever complain about the real stifling of intellectual diversity, which happens at hundreds of campuses across this country that are conservative and explicitly...
Oh, yes, we do.
No, I've read... You have this whole statement on your website that says, we will not take on Liberty University and stop asking us to because they are open about their stifling, so it's okay. I'm sorry. If you care about free speech... care about the kids at Liberty, care about the kids at Catholic, care about the kids at BYU, care about the BYU professor who was fired for saying he was in favor of gay marriage.
We have taken on religious university after religious university, but I like how people kind of play dumb on this particular issue, where it's kind of like Liberty University makes you sign a contract saying you essentially give up all your rights at the door. What are we supposed to argue that you don't know, or that you don't know that you're going to BYU and suddenly you're like, oh my God, it's Mormon, it's super Mormon. You have the right to give up some free to agree to that. I would never attend any of these schools, but I want to point out we take on religious schools all the time. For that matter, we're coming out with a list of worst schools for freedom of speech. One of the schools that we're going to be listing, and you have to wait to see why, is Georgetown University, a Catholic university in D.C. Wait a week to see the article. But yes, we take on religious schools all the time. But yes, if you tell people you give up your rights on the door and you agree to that, then you have the right to do that. Meanwhile, Yale and Harvard and Princeton, the big schools that people would mean when they're talking about higher education, they all promise free speech to high heaven, and they should be held to those promises.
But when Harvard had a civility... When Harvard tried to put a civility contract, which I didn't agree with, you guys were very angry. So when Harvard's open about it, you guys nailed them.
They have to choose something, though. They basically, what we said is, if they want to go to their donors and go to their students that, sorry, you know those glowing promises of free speech that we make? We don't really mean them. We're going with the civility idea. They are actually free to do that. It'd be interesting to watch them try, but they would start losing those professors and those donors in a heartbeat. But they absolutely are free to do that.
But they weren't keeping
Angus
this
Johnson,
secret.
do you want to jump in?
Well, I think that I absolutely respect the position that y'all take on this issue of saying that these conservative campuses are in another category. These particular ones are in another category. And as a matter of law and as a matter of their legal right to repress free speech, yes, they have the right under the Constitution of the United States. But I think it's also important to note that they are repressing free speech. And it's also really important to note that no, you don't go, oh my God, BYU is really, really Mormon when you arrive, but you might go, oh my God, I'm gay. Right. And so the repression that students are facing in these campuses is real. And I think you and I agree on that. I think that the disagreement is you don't think that that's something for FIRE to take on. I suspect that personally you find it as repugnant as I do.
Let me move this along a little bit further.